All right, y'all. Who wants to talk about rehabbing houses? Anybody? Nobody? All right, I guess we're done. Nobody wants to talk about rehabbing houses. Who's in? You want to do it? All right, let's talk about rehabbing houses. All right, guys. Who thinks rehabbing houses is different today than it was 10 years ago? It's not a trick question. Just raise your hand or don't. No, you think it's the exact same? How about 20 years ago? How about pre-HGTV? It's definitely different than pre-HGTV, right? So here's the deal. Rehabbing houses really is not that much different. What's changed is the buyer expectation. And here's the thing. The buyer expectation, do I have any realtors in here? Yes. All right. What can y'all tell me about buyers' expectations? What was that? Unrealistic. Why? Because of HGTV. That's right. But do buyers' expectations change? Yeah. What were they 6 months after COVID? I'll take anything. Anything with a roof, I'll buy it. Right? I don't care if it's just over half the house. I'll take it. Just give me something. Right? And then where are we? So eight months ago, maybe, when the rates started skyrocketing, what were buyers' expectations then? They wanted a $400,000 house, but they couldn't afford that payment anymore, so they were going to pay $250,000, but they still had the expectation of $400,000, right? Where are they today? Who's selling right now? Yeah. They're getting used to it. Yep. Oh yeah. Big repair addendums. They know that. Yeah. So it's getting back to a little bit of a push and pull, though, right? So a little bit of the seller's like, I don't want to lose this person, so I'm going to do more. And then that buyer's like, well, I want to make sure if I'm paying this rate and for this amount of time, I want to make sure I get everything I want, and I don't care if they walk or, it's a little bit of push and pull now, right? So it changes. So when you're rehabbing homes, you really got to pay attention, not to, yes, some people in here would say you better pay attention to HGTV's color of the year, right? What is it this year, babe? What's the color of the year? She's like, I don't remember. It's some kind of green, isn't it? Sage, is that it? There you go. Yeah, I was going to say sage is probably blue or something. But so it's paying attention to like the big trends. So paint it gray, not the browns, whatever, right? But other than that, y'all, you got to pay attention to what the buyers want today and what they're willing to accept. Okay. There are buyers at a price point that they don't need granite. Even though granite goes in most homes, you could probably get away with it without doing granite. And you can get a little bit cheaper on your finishes there, okay? Not cheaper as in a negative thing, just less expensive. Because buyers' expectations are different today, okay? So that I want you to know that. I want you to pay attention to that. And let me tell you a little bit how I got started rehabbing houses. It was a cool October evening in 2007. No, I won't do that. I won't bury you with all the details. But how I got started was pretty dumb. I don't know if YouTube was probably around, but I didn't know that it had things on it. So my dad was handy. We changed lights when I was at home, right? We fixed fixtures and stuff like that. So of course, I graduated college and I was like, well, I can rehab a home. Sure, why not? So me and my roommate, this is one of the funniest stories, is we wanted to sand the floors. And we heard through somewhere you could rent the machine and you could buff it out. So we went and rented what? No, not a sander, a buffer. Because we were college graduates and we knew what we were doing. So we had a buffer and we had these little sandpaper pads on the bottom of it. And it was the dumbest thing we've ever done. But in order to get the pressure we needed, it wasn't heavy. Like buffers are light, right? So how do you think we got pressure on the buffer? Yeah, I rode the thing. I just sat on it, and my roommate was pushing me around. So that was us. That was us rehabbing houses back then. Now things have changed. I married Michelle. I got smarter. But we learned through making a whole lot of mistakes, and ultimately what I learned is that I could do a lot better by getting some education, by getting some books, meeting some people, hiring some coaches, maybe getting in groups like this, asking questions. Bigger pockets was a big piece of that, right? Getting around people that have done this before and getting a little bit of knowledge. Okay. The other thing that we did from the very beginning was this. Whose first flip looked like that? The ones who don't like to talk about them. This is how you get in a lot of trouble. You go demo crazy. So I was just talking about the deal. I can't remember who I was telling about this. Andrew, about the deal that I hopefully will be able to get under contract tomorrow. It looks like this. Because the guy was like, I'm retired and I just got a big red box and I just started tearing it apart. Because that's fun, right? Rehab is fun. I mean, demo is fun. You just tear down the walls, tear the sheetrock, throw it in the dumpster. Well, when you do that, you kind of forget the cost of putting it back together. And that's what you end up looking like after that. You do the math, you're like, oh crap. You call and figure out how much floors cost, how much sheetrock costs, insulation, wiring, plumbing, all that. So what you got to start with, y'all, and I want to lead with this because it is a very dangerous place. YouTube and HGTV makes rehabbing and flipping houses look so easy and so much fun. And it can be fun. It can be simple. It's not ever easy. With systems and processes and the right knowledge, yes, you can make it a fun business. And demo is amazing. We have a lot of fun. Michelle has a pink sledgehammer. We just go to town on it. But if you don't have a plan of what you're going to demo and how you're going to put it back together, you can end up losing a lot of money. And if you go right now on Zillow, there's at least one house where somebody has done that. They over-demoed. They can't put it back together because they can't afford it. And now they're trying to sell it. Okay? So don't be that. And they're asking too much, right? They're all because they already lost money. They're like, I got to get my money back. Unfortunately, you don't ever get your money back from that. All right. So there's three main pieces to this. All right. You got to find it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about finding it. You got to fund it. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But mainly, I want to jump in and talk to you all about fixing it. Okay. And a lot of folks call it flipping. But, you know, really you're fixing. You're putting it back together, and you can decide what you want to do with it. If you want to burr it, hold on to it as a rental, you could do that as well, okay? All right, so first piece, you need to know what you're looking for when you're trying to find it, all right? If you're trying to find a good rehab, a good flip property, you need to know what makes a good flip property, right? So properties that are 10, 15 years old, up to, if you're brand new, like 50 years old, so you're looking at like the 70s, those make good flips, okay? Make really good flips. There are less costs involved in that, okay? You go pre-70s, you start adding expenses, okay? Doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just be on the outlook for those. 3 beds, 2 bath, that just makes it simple. If it's a 3-1, try to add a half bath for guests. If it's a 4-1, convert one to a bath, those types of things. But 3-2s are great. At least 1,000 square feet is amazing. You can get away with a 900 to 1,000. Honestly, today I don't know that the numbers are there yet, but this is something I was researching is, are Americans looking at the smaller homes? You guys know, especially in this market, the price per square foot pre-COVID was like $140. No, was it less than that? Anyway, it's gone like $100 up in the last, I guess it was $140 in the last 5 years. So price per square foot is skyrocketing. So are we gonna, as American people, as a society, are we going to start looking at smaller homes? Is 1,000 square feet going to be good enough for a family. So I don't know if the data's not there, at least I haven't seen it, but that's something to be on the lookout for, where that 3,000 square foot home, which used to be kind of normal for most Americans, like, middle America going and buying the McMansions is what they used to call them. The price is getting so high that I think those are going to start coming down. Look for, if you get a 2-1, you can make it work. But again, looking for ways to add value in something like that. You want to look for cosmetic fix-ups. Fixing foundation can be done. You get a good contractor, you could do that. But y'all, if it's your first, second, or third flip, maybe you don't get that one. Okay, maybe you don't do a big $30K foundation reno. All right, painting, floors, countertops, appliances, light fixtures, plumbing fixtures. All right, that is your bread and butter. Right, David? Yes. We're doing one right now that's a 3-1, and the silly people before put in a brand new shower. It looks beautiful, but now it's a 3-1 with no tub. Michelle, what do you think of that? Terrible. The mamas in here, they're like, no way, I can't bathe my kid in that. So that's something to be concerned about, right? So looking at that type of floor plan. I always paint and fix before replacing. So like we talk about doors and sheetrock. See if you can't paint it before you start pulling that stuff down. Okay. The less time, and I'm going to talk about time and money here in a little bit, but the less time you have in the project, the more money you can make. Why is that? Holding costs. It gets expensive. We'll talk about how to calculate that, but taxes, insurance, lender fees, all that stuff just adds up over time. All right. And it's much easier, of course, to manage when you're getting started with that kind of stuff. All right. So this is what you're looking for. So here's an example of that. Right. This is what everybody's going to look for as soon as you leave here, right? No, this is not what you're looking for to come out and flip. What would we do with this one? Tear it down. Thank you. You guys are so smart. This is a smart class. But this one for sure. No, I'm just kidding. This is the same one. So this is not what you go to find to do a deal, y'all. This person, this seller is motivated. Yes. You have found the motivated seller, but do you really care at this point? If you can get it at lot value or less, then you could tear it down and then build, right? So that's your play. This is not a flip. Lake Murray, yeah, that's right around the cove, yeah. That would be blown over on Lake Murray. I don't know where that is. I Googled it. All right. So these are pictures of what you're actually looking for. Just the normal home. Normal, maybe a 2-car garage, which is amazing. 1,500 square feet. The home that fits in the neighborhood and that you would drive right by if it was put together. It shouldn't be the one that calls out to you and is like, oh, look at that cool house. Those are the ones we kind of shy away from. There's that one, oh my gosh, it was right off of Forest Drive. Somebody flipped it and I was like, more power to you. It took him like 2 years. But like the roof came all the way down. Y'all know those style houses, like the shingles wrap all the way down. It's like it's got bangs. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But somebody did it. That's not what you're looking for when you're trying to flip a house. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter, right? There's not many neighborhoods here that are cookie cutter neighborhoods 20 years ago, but they're coming. But look for just that normal house, okay, that fits in. All right. So you guys, you can take a picture of this. I wanted to make sure I gave it to you so that you understand really what it means to be a deal finder, what it means to find the deal. It's really rare that the deal just pops out and you go home today, you post something on Facebook and you find the deal tomorrow. It's pretty rare. It can happen, don't get me wrong, But if you want to make this a business, then you've got to put systems in place for all of this so that you can have lead flow, you can have deal flow, you can have opportunities to convert and buy flip properties or rental properties that you rehab. All right. So building a team, get your funding sources, get your marketing set up. How do you communicate to sellers or agents or wholesalers? How do you do your research, negotiations, turning those leads, those negotiations into actual contracts? And then if you can't, how do you follow up? Okay. This is what it means to find deals. All right. It's not just you walk outside and say, "Ooh, there's one." All right. Set up a system, get it in play, get it working. All right. A big piece of that is marketing. And so just a couple of pieces for marketing. Lead intake system, that's kind of what we talked about. How are you going to market your deals? The communication stage, and then your research and negotiations. Okay. So this is just a part of finding your deals. Okay. All right, before we get off of this part, I wanted to just make sure I shared with you how to comp and to be, this isn't going to be, I'm not going to show you, you can't get into everything for comping because I want to get into rehab, but I've got some other videos on the YouTube channel for this. But a couple of rules for comping. Rule number 1, use the comps that are the same. I don't know any other way to say it. Like, that's what comp means. It's comparable. It's a property that is similar. So similar in beds, bath, size, type of house. So split level is one that stands out to me all the time. If it's a split level compared to another split level, okay? Don't cross over major roads to go find your comp. Stay on one side of the road, okay? Because that side is going to be similar. Always use your sold comps. So if it's a active listing, it's good for research. It's good to look at and get a handle on what it is, but that is not your comp, okay? That is not what makes your numbers work. You got to find what the market is actually saying and what people are actually willing to put their money up for, okay? And then you want to compare what you're going to turn your property into, okay? And of course, things that are close to the subject property. So in the same neighborhood, if there's a one-way in, one-way out neighborhood, that's it. Use that. Okay. If you can't find it there, you got to find one right near it that's very similar. We just ran into a situation on our team in the home buying side over there that it's a 2-acre mobile home on brick foundation, right? Well, there's not that many of those in that area. Well, very few have actually sold, and we couldn't get any comps. So what do? We had to look for the similar situation. So what other parts of town have 2 acres with a mobile home on a brick foundation, right? So we start looking at that to make our comparison. And you can't say it's a 1-for-1 and say, oh, that one sold for 200, so this one's going to sell for 200. No, you got to see there's a little bit of art to this where you say, all right, this one sold for 200, but ours is a little bit less desirable school district, right? All right, so we're going to drop that down, and now we're at 160, okay? Something like that. So comping is very difficult on properties that don't have other sold properties, okay? So when you get in that situation, this is where you reach out to your professionals or the people in this group, in this community, like say, hey, I'm stuck. This property, I know it's a deal, but I can't wrap my head around these numbers. Can you help me? Okay. So you got agents, they're your professionals for sure. They got access to MLS data, but then other experienced investors that might work that neighborhood. Okay. Reach out to them. People in the Facebook group, they can help you. All right. So those are some of your rules for comping. All right. So real quick, I'll talk about how to fund it. And I'm not diving into everything on this. Y'all, most of these slides do come out of our 2-day workshop, which I think is the flyer. And if you want to dive in further, that's what the 2-day workshop is finding and fixing properties. So that's where some of these excerpts come from. All right, so funding. In order to get yourself funded, we have some lenders back there. I can tell you, at least I assume when a property or when an application comes in with an ARV that is just out of whack, that doesn't make any sense, and the investor looks like they don't know what they're doing, how does that make you feel as a lender, Susie? Not very confident, right? And if it's a new person, you might say, you're just way too off with your numbers. As a lender, I'm not confident enough to lend. Okay. So you've got to master the ARV. You got to know where you're getting, so you can get it funded, but also so you can know how much you pay for it. So let's talk about that real quick. Again, the comps, you got to have the comps. Uh, go if you don't have any comps, go back a little further. Remove the cash sales. Make sure it's off the MLS. Try to make sure that you are getting close and accurate with your numbers, going by square foot. Okay, so take it by how much it's sold, price per square foot. Okay, and don't, for goodness sakes, don't speculate. Don't, oh my gosh. I hope maybe there's somebody in here, but the wholesalers out there that are putting out emails and posts on Facebook, I would rather them not put the ARV than put it $100,000 wrong. You guys feel me? You see you know what I'm talking about? So if you can't and you're guessing, just don't put it. Say, I need help. Raise your hand. I need help. Okay. Let the other people figure it out. All right. The next step for getting funded, and I know you all can't see this in the back, but I just give it to you. If you need a copy of this, this is one of our scope of works that we turn into our lenders. It's also really good to work with your contractors. We'll talk about them in a minute. But the scope of work goes through all that you're going to do in the job. Windows replacement, countertops replacement, all that. You have it all laid out. You put a price with it. You put a cost with it. And you turn that into your lender so your lender knows that you know what you're doing. It also helps your lender if they're doing draws. Okay, if they're going to give you a rehab draw, they'll be able to check it off and say, oh, you did your countertops, bam, here's $4,000. Okay, so make sure you have a scope of work. You need it for your contractors as well, but you're going to want to give it to your lender, even if they don't require it. Even if you're not getting rehab funding, it's nice to be able to show them that you know what you're talking about. Okay, that makes sense? Does anybody need a scope of work, like a template? Yeah? Okay. Nicole's going to remind me to send it out tomorrow, and I'll put it on the Facebook group or send an email with it. I didn't think about that until just now, that might be something helpful. All right, so that's getting to the fixing part. So let's talk about the main steps for flipping houses and the rehab piece of it, okay? Are y'all good with that? All right, so we're going to dive in, and if you have questions, y'all let me know, because this is a little bit of, there's so many pieces to this. I can't get it all in the next 15, 20 minutes. So if you have questions, let me know, and we'll dive in and answer those questions, because those will be helpful for everybody. All right, and just so you know, this guy clearly has not fixed anything, because look at that hard hat. He's got that pressed shirt. I mean, his tool belt's brand new. I just was like, man, it's not happening. So if your contractor shows up like this, you might want to turn him around and say, next. All right, so we kind of talked a little bit about step one, finding, evaluating, funding your deals. All right. Step two is the contractors. That's putting it together, inspections, demo, rehab, final walk, that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about step two. Step three is, in my opinion, where you go find your professionals, you get your agent, hire an agent, let them sell the deal, because if you're a house flipper or rehabber, you need to move on to your next. Okay, so let your agents take on step three for you. All right, and even step one, you can bring in other professionals to help you do that as well. So that's the responsibility. That we already talked through that. Step two, the contract part of it, is you got to set up your team for construction. Okay, remember that scope of work? When you make your scope of work of what you want to do, then you know who you got to fill in, right? If you know you're going to fix plumbing, well, I assume you'd want a plumber. Okay, if you're going to do a roof, you probably should find a roofer. All right, so build that team. set that up, get going on bringing people on your team, getting quotes and that sort of stuff. So we'll go through kind of the timeline here in a second. Another piece is your budget. A lot of people talk about budgeting the dollars and making sure you don't go over budget on dollars. But the flippers in here will tell you your timeline is just as important as your dollars, because I'll show you time equals money. Okay. And if you just say, all right, contractor, I got 30 grand, go fix this house, let me know when you're ready, I can guarantee you that contractor will be ready in about 8 to 9 months. And you'll be sitting there and you'll lose money just by time. Okay. So make sure you do that as well. All right. And then your agent responsibilities. And if you want to take a picture of this, you can. You should let your agent should be involved in your flip as you're getting close to the end, because they should know, if you got a good agent, they should know what the market is saying. What are these buyers saying? Do the buyers need quartz countertops today versus granite, right? So talk with them, get them in there, get them to take your professional photos. Gabriel can take some photos for you, and get it listed quickly, okay? All right, so let's talk about some rough estimates. This, for me, is very helpful when we walk a property, that we can go in and give rough estimates for ourselves so we can make a budget, so we can say yes or no to deals faster. Does that make sense? If y'all are true deal finders, you should be looking at multiple deals, right? Maybe a couple a day. And you want to get those off your plate as soon as possible. So we've gotten really good at saying no to flips when they come across. Now, if you're working directly with the seller, you never say no. You just you make your offer based on what makes sense to you, right? If you're looking on MLS and stuff like that, you might just say, you know what, that's not for me, or you might make your offer and let it go. All right, so here's some safe estimates, something you could put down for like a 1,400 square foot home, a roof, about 8 grand. It can be plus or minus, guys. This is a rough estimate. If there's just, an easy one pitch, it could be a little bit less if there's no water damage, but on the opposite side of that, it could be a lot more if they got to replace all the decking, right? So it could go up and down. HVAC is about 5 grand. You can actually get that cheaper, but typically it's going to be about 5 just to put one down. Okay. If you've got the duct work and stuff. And then if you got to fix the duct work, throw in about 2,000 more for that. All right. Your kitchen, that's without cabinets, 4 grand. You're going in and you got your countertops, you got your fixtures and maybe appliances, maybe a couple of appliances, 4 grand. All right. If you're flipping it without cabinets, again, about 7. To do your fix and flip flooring, and now he might be able to tell you exactly how much per square foot, but flooring and paint, when we walk in, we typically say $12 a square foot. Just every house, $12 a square foot for painting and floors. It makes it really simple for us to walk in and say, well, at least I know that's my base, right? Per bathroom, about 3 grand. You guys see this. Windows, 450. And then, so your typical 3.2, 1,400 square foot might be about $30,000 rehab. Okay. Which is about 20. And I'll get to that in a minute. Any questions on that? Is there anything I'm missing there that y'all might? These are Columbia prices. Okay. Just keep that in mind. If you go to Charleston to do it, the roof is probably more expensive. Okay. Just keep that in mind. All right. So building your own database has to happen today. All right. So build your database today. Has anyone been to Lowe's recently? Lowe's or Home Depot? Yes. Yes. Did you buy something? Yeah. Was it for a house? Probably. It was Lowe's and Home Depot, right? So when you're buying stuff for houses, put it in a spreadsheet. Just write it down, put it in so you have a materials database so that you can keep track of what this stuff is gonna cost. So you don't have to go back and do it later, okay? If you just do it as you go, in a year from now, you'll look back and your database will have everything that Lowe's has. And then you'd have all the prices right there, right? And ideally, you are selecting the things you like so that you don't have to go find the thing you like every single time. Of course, now online, you can go search it, but it's a little easier if you already have what you like in your database, okay? Um, and another good thing, and we forget this sometimes, is that they do have installation. Has anyone used Lowe's or Home Depot installation? Yeah? I've never used it. We have, teams and rehab, we have contractors and stuff. But what I have done is looked at the price and said, wait a second, Lowe's will deliver and install this stove for, $100. I don't know what it is. And so I'd say to my handyman, like, hey, look, they're gonna deliver it for free. Can you just put it in for like $25? Now at least I have something to compare that odd task to. I don't know what it should cost to put a stove in, but now I know Lowe's will do it for 100 or whatever. Okay. Same with flooring. Sometimes they'll have deals on flooring, and Jonathan's like, no, don't use them. You you get what you pay for sometimes. So they might have a $99 deal, but they can't schedule you for 10 weeks. Well, does that work for a flipper? No, right? So I like to use it. I have used them and like to use them as just a basis of like, what are things costing for labor and stuff, okay? We've actually had them come out and quote some things like windows and kitchen cabinets and stuff, but we've never used them because I know every time they've done that, it was like, well, we can get to it in about 3 months. Well, that doesn't work for me. That's not going to help me. All right, you got labor and materials. This is very, very important for you guys to know that labor and materials should be separate. They can be separate. Some of your contractors will put them together. That's fine. But if they are not putting them together, you better know that they're just quoting labor and somebody's got to pay for the material. All right. So painters, this is a very easy example. We like to say to the painter, like, we'll pick it out. We'll pay for it. Just what's your labor? Because we got a really good idea of what paint is going to cost me at Sherwin-Williams to paint a house. Now, if they want to throw it in and they are still way below my budget that I have for that house to be painted, fine. Just as long as they get the right quality paint, we're fine with it. But at least we know where we stand, okay? And then, I think about other pieces of this. You got tile work is one of those things that takes a lot of pieces to get it done. So let me break it down for you. I say, I want to put tile floor in this bathroom. Okay. What are the parts that have to go into that tile? What has to be bought for that tile floor? Y'all shout them out. Backer board, grout, some sealer, the tile, right? Maybe some leveling compound. How about those little spacer things? Those little T things? You got to have those. You got, and I say this because I've seen it before. You've got a bucket to mix the trowel or mix the grout and the mortar. So you got mortar, forgot about that. And then you got the trowel to mix it. So I've seen guys, when we say we'll pay for the material, I've seen them go and buy a new trowel, a new bucket, new little T spacer things, and all the little pieces, and a tile cutter. They buy the tile cutter, and all that stuff ends up on my receipt somehow. And I'm like, that's tools of the trade. But if they treat them like a throwaway tool, as a one per job, then you're going to pay for it. And that's the kind of stuff that's, one bathroom floor that, whatever, that might be $30 of material, but that can add up. And if you don't talk through that, and you don't understand what they're bringing, you can be stuck with that. All right. So we like to say, if it's tile, like, I'm going to get the tile and I'm going to tell you the color of grout. Everything else to make this flat and secure and perfect is on you. Okay. So think about that. There's other jobs, other pieces of that happens on. Okay. Um, don't rush. That's if you're doing this alone, doing it for your first time. Some of the things we like to say is take your time, make sure your budget is in line, reevaluate as you go. Again, those first pictures, don't demo the whole house, essentially, right? Go as you go. All right, so a couple of people you want to have on your team, and you want to build this ASAP. Build your team ASAP. In this community, we have a lot of people that you can do that with. Your GC would be licensed and insured, your contractor for big jobs. Your subcontractors, your tile guy, your painter, those are smaller jobs, and you might be the project manager. You might be pointing them to the job and telling them what to do. All right. Your handyman, again, installs like the stove that you just plug in. Somebody's just got to wiggle it in the spot, right? So you got to have the handyman, change doorknobs, stuff like that. You got to have your agent. Always got to have an agent working with you. Your inspector, we'll talk about that inspector. Always inspect the property, okay? Get an appraiser. We like to have an appraiser kind of on our team. We don't use them all the time, but I like to sometimes ask for ideas or thoughts on a property, and then if we need them, we call them. Insurance agent, of course, your lenders, of course, and your closing attorney. This says, investor-friendly closing attorney. What that really means is it's a closing attorney that understands that you're going to be coming back more and more, and their pricing will reflect that, and their communication to you will reflect that, and they understand that you're in this for a business, and they understand how to help you. So you don't want to go to the retail closing agents that are all about flashy, like celebrating your first home purchase and things like that. That's fine, but what ends up happening is you pay for that, right? As a business owner, as a rehabber and flipper, like you want to make sure you're watching those expenses. And as much fun as it is, like you're paying for all the balloons and the confetti that comes with that service. All right. Okay, so let's just talk about picking that contractor real quick. These are a couple things that I want to make sure that we leave here with for y'all that are going to start rehabbing, or if you're already rehabbing, go back and do some of these things. I'm going to get them all up here so you can take the picture. Took forever. All right, get bids. Get 3 bids. As a couple of our deal partners in the room, we always say get 3 bids. Even the people that we've used for years, go ahead and get their bid and then 2 others, right? Especially if you're not sure, like you're not really sure what we're getting done here, get those 3 bids and see how to put your deal together, okay? Get a copy of the license and their insurance. Those are things you just keep on file. You just want to make sure you have that stuff. Ask for the bid to be separate, labor and material. Some people won't do that. You kind of you would like to at least see it. That's why you want 3 bids, right? And you're picking the contractor based on who you want to work with. Okay, this is a partnership when you hire a contractor. We talked about that some of the things they might say and like, oh, I'm getting to it. Yeah, but you said that last week, right? If you see things in the contractor bid process that are a little bit off, it might mean there's a bigger problem. Okay, so use some common sense through some of this. Go through the agreement with them. Make sure you have it written down. Like you're going to do X, Y, Z, and here's the cost, here's the timeline, and here's who's buying what. Okay. Set up the payment and draw schedule, and then get it all signed. All right, y'all. This is. I know I said earlier we're in the South. Like we like to do deals and shake hands and say we're done. You're going to do what you said you're going to do. I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. And you might be that person, and I hope you are. But unfortunately, life happens. And sometimes those contractors intend to be that person that'll stand up to their handshake. And then life happens and they can't, right? For whatever reason. Or they just aren't that person to begin with. And you don't want to be stuck in that situation where you said, well, we shook hands on it. You said you were going to buy the tile backer board and everything. And you get down to the time to do it and they won't do it, right? Or they said they would be done on Friday, and now it's 2 weeks later, they're not done, all right? So get it in writing and get it signed, okay? Here's another really clean contractor with a brand new hard hat who's never done any work. Inspect before you buy, and this is just good sense. In our business, we have bought and sold hundreds and hundreds of houses, and so our team members can go inspect for us. Blake is gone, but he's our project manager. That he can go inspect for us, right? So we have inspections. If you don't have a contractor on your team or have done this for years, then hire an inspection, a home inspector. Hire somebody. $350. Well, it might be $450 these days. $450 to get someone to go and give you an entire report on what needs to be fixed is well worth it. I'd rather you spend that $450 and figure out that this is not a deal versus go into it, then find out you're on the hook and you're going to lose 20, 30, 40 grand, right? Because it happens. So get that inspection or partner up with somebody that can get you that inspection, okay? And this is where I was talking about the timeline management. Does anybody have any questions on the inspection? We like to do them before, and another trick for rehabbing and flippers is to do one when you're done so that you can see all the things that maybe that you didn't see, your contractors didn't see, that a home inspector sees. And a nice tip, especially kind of how our market is, the buyer's expectations these days. If you have that report after you're done flipping, and you can go through and highlight the things and say, okay, you know what, we did skip this. We meant to do that, we forgot. You highlight it and say it was completed, put a receipt in there. You have that to show your buyers as a pre-inspection and pre-work done. It's powerful. It's really powerful for your buyers if you want to stand out. So not something you have to do every time, but it is something that will help you stand out in this market. All right. So here's the time and money situation. And we like to do this. We like to tell our contractors exactly how much money we say how much money they're wasting us by not being on the job site today. When it's 100 and I think maybe the math is on the next page. It's like $116 a day is fairly standard. It's at least $100 a day when you count taxes, insurance, and your interest. $100 a day, and nobody's at the job. Y'all, that hurts. And $500 can be gone like that. And it's not unheard of for a contractor to just say, you know what? I've got other things to do today, and this other client is calling me and bugging me and telling me how important I am to finish that deal. If you're the one that's not the squeaky wheel, you're going to get passed over, and that'll be $100 down the drain for you, okay? So tell the contractor how much it costs for them to not be there, and then when they're not there, remind them of that cost. We did have a deal partner actually posted it. It was a big printout. It was with the scope of work and with the new floor plan, and right next to it was how much does it cost every day for this house to sit here, right? So it's a really good reminder. And so this kind of shows you what the timeline could be. 3 to 6 weeks is about $10,000 to $30,000 rehab. Now here's the cost breakdown. So you got your material costs, you got your holding cost, your rehab timeline, and then you got some things to do before your closing, right? So you got some cost in there. Here it is. So most jobs are about 10 to 30 grand, which is $15 to $25 per square foot, which is what I was talking about earlier, right? If you're doing larger jobs, you could be spending 80, 100 grand on a full gut job like the one I showed you earlier. So doing the cosmetic rehabs can get you done at around $15 a square foot. So those are the ones that if you wanted to jump in and start, then you could do that. Jump with those $15 to cosmetic rehabs. I don't know where my math was for the price per day, but what it was is the slide shows we've got holding costs, we got insurance, we've got taxes, we've got our interest costs every single day, because it's per month you're being charged interest. Break it down per day. You got your utility bill estimate, and you put it all together. You divide that by 30 because it's all in a month, and that's your per day cost to hold a property. So if you have that number, it will help you and your contractor, okay? All right. So here's the thing. Rehabbing houses is a lot more than the last 20-minute, 30-minute presentation. Can you all agree to that? Are we on the same page? Does anyone think that they got it all just now? Good, because you did not. Unfortunately, I can't do that all in 30 minutes. But I hope that I gave you enough steps and enough clues to build into your rehab process where you can get started. There's just some things you got to get out there and do. You got to find your contractors. You got to find your lenders. You got to find your deals. Okay. When you get going, it really does help to partner and to find a community like this to lean on people, to ask questions, to get deals done. All right, success right here. I mean, it's a game plan. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The game plan is put together. Our company, we have flow charts. We know exactly what's going to happen next. We know how the rehabs go. We know how the burrs go. Okay. So what your question is really is what is next for you, right? Where are you in your business right now? And what can you do today or tomorrow that can get your business going to the next step? How do you move to the next step? Are you ready to buy that first flip? That would be amazing, right? Hopefully some of these things were helpful for you. Are you ready to get out there and find a wholesale deal maybe, right? So get out there and do it. Everybody's next step is personal and individual, okay? Real estate is such a huge industry. There's so many variables. There's so many different pieces and parts that you could do and make a business with that I can't tell you all of them up here. You have to figure that out. You have to figure out where you are today and where you're going to go next, all right? First thing I have to ask y'all is, do you believe that you can be successful in real estate? Raise your hand. So you all believe it, okay? So your next step has got to be an action step, okay? If you believe it, then just sitting here not doing anything about it is silly. Because real estate has been here for a long time, and it's going to stay here for a long time. And the opportunity is so amazing for just everybody in this community that you could change your future, your legacy, your kids' future, the people around you, your parents even, by finding your niche in real estate and get it started. All right? Everyone in here has a background that's different. Okay? But the one common denominator is that you're all in here and you believe that you found something that's different, which is real estate. You believe that whatever that 9-to-5 job or wherever you started your career is not going to get you where God made you to be. All right. And so you found real estate as that calling and that opportunity. So you have to take the next step, whatever that next step is for you. All right. So I've got these are the next steps for anybody in the group, in the community that want to dive in and learn more. Okay. If you're in that stage and you got to learn more, you got to dive in. The workshop is the one on the left. That's 2 days, 2 full days, where we're doing the find and flip workshop, which is 2 full days of rehabbing and finding deals and funding deals and BRRRR strategy. And we talk about creative financing and all that. And then if you're a beginner that's just getting started and you're not ready for that, we do have the free boot camp. Okay. That's going to be later this month. So find your next step, find what you need to get doing, do to move your business along. And if you do need help getting unstuck, if you need to talk to me or my team, this is my link. If you want to talk to our team, we can connect you as well. But if you want to talk to me, just grab this QR code. It's also on the table up front, and we can talk for 15 minutes, just see where you are, see what steps you need to go next. All right. So listen, I know we didn't do everything for rehabbing houses, but I hope this is a good foundation, something that you can build on. And I can tell you, our team is here. We love to partner with anybody that's ready to build their business and be rehabbers. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. And other than that, that's it.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.